So my name is Mark Beresford. I'm a director at Edgar, Dunn and Company. It's a consultancy specialising in payments and fintech. So I'm delighted to be joined by Daniele from. Let me maybe ask you to introduce yourself and your business.
Absolutely, yes. My name is Daniele Zaccaria. I am a product manager for Tractive. We sell GPS trackers for pets. We are a market leader in this niche, and we combine the GPS tracker with a subscription model so that our customers have to buy a subscription to activate the tracker. Our main purpose is to really ensure that pet parents can be around their pets more comfortably because they know where they are, they can monitor their activities, they can look at all the stats about their pets through our app.
And we were talking as part of our preparation, we're both dog owners.
Yes.
So passionate dog owners, and we're obviously concerned about where our dogs might go or get lost. And that's essentially what your business is doing. Is it just about tracking, or is it other services?
Yeah, back in the days it was all about tracking, really. Yeah. But lately we have noticed a shift in trends. You know, our users and our consumers, they really look for more insights. You know, it's really all about the big data era in this industry as well.
Health.
Exactly, yes. And so you want to look at your dog's health, maybe, you know, and see if something is wrong with it, whether it's scratching or health issues that could come from sleep deprivation or stuff like that. You know, we were able to use the tracker as a way to really get more information about your dog in general and your cats as well. It's not just where they go and what they do throughout the day through the live tracking features, but it's also about understanding more about their health behaviors.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're at a payments conference, payment leaders.
Yes.
So let's talk about payments. The device itself, that's a single payment. So you buy that to put on your dog or your cat.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Yeah, look, from a payments perspective, and this is what also intrigued me about Tractive when I first joined here, because, you know, I come from the financial services industry. I have a background in issuing, acquiring, and payments infrastructure as well. And I thought that Tractive was a very peculiar business because we have this one-time payment component, which is selling the GPS tracker. And then we also have the recurring payment, which is a subscription. And so we do that. We handle both payment types. And so we have to handle and manage these two payment flows globally. And the typical payments journey of our user starts from our e-commerce space. They buy the GPS tracker, and then they maybe tokenize the payment methods upon checkout, and then they use it again to activate the subscription later on. And then it's up to us to, you know, keep the customers close and renew those subscriptions over time.
Is it pay as you go, or do you subscribe for 2 or 3 years? Or
it is. We have different subscription plans. So from the basic, monthly subscription to the most popular one, which is the yearly subscription plan. Really, in our case, we're talking about long billing cycles. So you have the yearly plan, the 2-year plan, and then your 5-year plan. And we noticed that worldwide, lots of our customers really like the 1-year plan. And so from a payments perspective, that introduces some, complexities, especially when it comes to renewing the subscriptions, because as you can imagine, cards, especially in the cards world, additional payment methods, they expire, they might have some issues. And even when it comes to account-to-account payments, if you think about the way people use their own bank accounts, maybe they use a secondary bank account and close it after some time. So what happens to that, billing cycle? And therefore, all these peculiarities of recurring payments, we have to tackle them in our payment stack and in our payments operations as well.
And my understanding is your business is operating in quite a few countries globally.
Sorry.
Are there any characteristics that you've found that are unique to a particular country or a particular demographic of customers?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there are multiple characteristics that we can appreciate. Think about Europe, for instance. Europe, you see that each market is different. user behaviors in Germany is different from user behavior in France or in Italy.
Right.
And same thing in the US. You might have some states that have certain characteristics versus other states that have others. When we talk about payments specifically, I think that Europe offers a variety of different, phases, basically, because if you look at Germany, and everybody knows that PayPal is a huge payment method in Germany. And as a matter of fact, when I first looked into our payments data, I could see that PayPal is a big payment method in Germany, and it's also a very efficient one. That's not the case for another country like France, or where card bancaire it's a local payment method, and combined with traditional card payment networks, it's one of
The French love their credit cards.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Ideal in the Netherlands. That's driving a huge portion of our payment flows in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And same thing, in traditional countries like even here in the UK, you can see that users really prefer card payments over any other payment methods.
Right. And in the UK, it's if you look at open banking at a European level, my understanding is that the UK is a little bit more advanced in terms of, because of the CMA 9, it sort of dictated standards to support, recurring payments, open banking. As UK customers, are they, resonating with open banking, account-to-account payments?
Not yet, unfortunately. I
Why?
think one of the biggest problems we have with open banking, especially in subscription businesses, is the lack of real use cases that we can use.
Okay.
As you know, lots of the open banking initiatives, they don't have these recurring capabilities
Right.
that can, suit businesses like Tractive.
Okay.
And therefore, we couldn't really exploit open banking as of now because...
As opposed to card on file?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
card on file is more reliable,
Yes.
it's more consistent.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Got
yes. I mean, when it comes to open banking, and you can talk about direct debits, right? Direct debits is been around for a long time. Whether it's the SEPA direct debits in the EU or BACS here in the UK, you have ACH in the US. It's to me, it's almost like a traditional payment method now, and it's weird because compared to card on file or traditional card payments, the user adoption is not as big, and they don't seem to like it that much, especially when it comes to a consumer product like a GPS tracker or a subscription like ours. And therefore, you don't really want to invest that much money or resources into that kind of payment method.
Do you, in terms of a customer journey, do you think, you said there was two different payment types: there's the actual purchase of the hardware to put with your dog or your cat, but then there's the recurring payment for the subscription. Is there a linkage between the two? Is it typically, one is, maybe you use a credit card for the purchase of the product. I don't know how much it is, but then the recurring payment, I imagine, will lend itself to a direct debit or a card on file. Is it linked or is it not?
Most of the times it is,
Okay.
and that's that kind of tackles a big topic for merchants, in my opinion, which is your tokenization strategy.
Yeah.
And how you tokenize your payment methods and how you use that. In our case, when we first interact with our customers, we want them to use a payment method and complete their first purchase, which is the GPS tracker. That's when we tokenize the payment, and with that token, we can let them reuse the same payment method in any further purchase, whether it's another tracker or whether it's a subscription.
Okay.
And that facilitates the whole payments journey, and also reduces frictions, and therefore maximizes conversions and increases performance from a payments perspective.
So if it's card on file, it would be like a merchant-initiated payment on the subsequent
Correct.
payments. But then, if a card is lost or stolen, is it automatically updated? Is that part of your
No,
service?
not really. It depends, right? Because we, like many other merchants, we do use the network capabilities like network tokens or account updaters, but they don't really reach 100% of your card base, and therefore there's always going to be that portion of cards that are going to expire or that are going to get lost, and therefore they become invalid, and therefore you have to deal with those reason codes, and you have to understand how to retry maybe those payments, or how to interact with your customers to let them update their payments methods and their payment information. And that, of course, increases frictions and introduces a lot of problems from business perspective. If you think about involuntary churn, that's one of the main driver when you have these issues with the payment method.
And are customers, are you seeing any patterns around that churn? Are they looking to, cancel the transaction, or they don't know how to cancel a transaction? Are they going to you, or are they going to the bank to cancel a transaction?
That's an interesting question, and it depends. It really depends, because usually when a renewal is made, so when the subscriptions renew, users they have, of course, their time to unsubscribe and to cancel a subscription within the terms and conditions.
Buy remorse. Yeah.
Exactly. And some of them, if they don't know how to do that, they're willing to spend some time and reach out to our customer support and figure out how to do it. Otherwise, they are just impatient and they go through their bank and maybe open up a chargeback. But what we see is that clear communication and really understanding your customer base can help improve all those issues. And it's all about being transparent and being straightforward with your customers at the end of the day.
And because you operate in so many different countries, dealing with different consumers, different types of payments, is there a topic around orchestration? Is that something that you're considering, or that something you think is something that should be part of the merchant's toolbox? It should be part of the solution.
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, when I first joined the company and started setting up the payment strategy for Tractive, we could see that there are some drivers to this payment strategy. And as every merchant, probably we want to have a focus on cost. We want to make sure that we can control the cost behind our payments. But at the same time, we need to optimize performance, especially when it comes to the subscription side of the business, which is the big chunk of the business. And orchestration is just another word to say basically how you want to manage your payment flows, right? And we know that you can build your own internal orchestration layer. You can rely on a market solution. But at the end of the day, you need to have in place the proper payment stack to route payments smartly, intelligently. And
is it about cost efficiency, or is it is it about customer experience, or just trying to work out what's the driver behind that?
I think if you think about it, it's pretty much everything. Because look, you can optimize costs in multiple ways, right? You can look at payment methods and how much they cost. You can look at the contracts with your PSPs and with your acquirers. You can renegotiate as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you have to spend some money into your payments, right? What happens on the business side of things, especially in subscriptions, you have to deal with involuntary churn. And that affects the user, because if you are someone that is using our service, our trackers, you just don't think about the billing cycle that much. You expect a smooth, payment journey, especially when it comes to exactly the renewal. So if we're able to optimize everything, including the smart retries when a payment renewal fails, right? That's going to be beneficial to our users, because they're going to have a painless experience, and it's going to be frictionless as well, because they don't have to do anything. They can keep using the service without any problem.
And you alluded to the question: do you build your own orchestration platform, or do you work with third parties? Maybe you don't want to answer this, but what did you choose to do?
Yeah, look, it's about commitment. And I think every merchant has to look in their inner self, and figure out exactly how much they want to commit to payments. And we were talking about this, and sometimes the payment strategy is the last thing merchants think about, and they underestimate the power of payments and what they can really achieve if they set up a proper strategy in place, especially a long-term strategy. And so In our case, I believe that due to the scale of the company and also to the focus, the product focus of the company at the moment, it wouldn't make sense to dedicate and commit that much resources into building your own payment orchestration layer. It's just too much efforts, and objectively speaking, we don't have the capacity to allocate that many resources to that project, and also to the maintenance of it. Imagine you start diversifying your PSP base. You have to handle multiple integrations. You also have to define the routing logics and the business logics to manage those integrations, but then you have to maintain the integrations. If someone updates their APIs, you have to update them internally as well. So I mean, that consumes a lot of engineering resources, and when you have to think about the trackers developments and all the other things, I mean, we have other areas to focus on, right?
Because you want to focus on your customers.
Exactly.
And whereas there are other solutions out there that are off the shelf that actually dedicate their time to making sure all the interfaces are up to date.
Precisely. That's the point. When you use an external solution, and we have so many different solutions. If you think about it, they offer so many different products. At the end of the day, they all do the same thing, right? But some of them are better than others. But the thing is, you can really plug them in. You can integrate with them once, and then everything else is just handled on business side of things. You have your payments person, your payments team, hopefully, handling that. And so you release internal resources. You don't have to really allocate that many engineers and software developers to your payment stack anymore, because now it's kind of outsourced. Yeah. From a strategic perspective, that has a lot of implications, especially in the long run. And I mean, if you are a delivery hero, or if you're one of those big merchants, it doesn't make sense to, just confide that much into an external party. It makes more sense to invest internally. Yeah. But for a merchant of our scale, it wouldn't make sense at the moment to really dedicate that many resources to an internal deployment.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. And just continuing the theme around payment methods, we've talked about credit cards, we've talked about card on file, we've touched on open banking and account to account, I think. But buy now, pay later is another alternative form of payments. Do your customers look at buy now, pay later as an option, and would like to, if they're buying a 5-year plan, that could be quite an outlay, so maybe paying that over a period of time might be a better way of doing it, or do you?
Yes, no, I think case in point. Look, the buy now pay later is a tremendous payment product. There are lots of benefits also for merchants. It's a bit expensive sometimes, but still you can appreciate lots of different benefits. We do use buy now pay later, especially on the e-commerce side, for the sale of GPS trackers.
Okay.
On the subscription sides, unfortunately, it really depends on the country and on the buy now pay later provider. And not all of them support recurring business models. Wow. And that's a big problem. It's like for open banking. If you don't have the capabilities to support recurring business models, then you cut us off, and we cannot really, use you.
And I guess with the tracker, it's like buying an asset. It's like buying a product.
Correct.
So that makes sense to buy that over 4 payments, as in installment payments. It's not, it's not a loan, is it?
Exactly.
Whereas the subscription for the GPS and the health check and the navigation, I guess that's all about subscription, and it makes sense if it's card on file or bank transfer, account to account. Is that right?
Yes, I think so. Look, with buy now pay later, for instance, if you think about the feature of recurring payments, if you look at Klarna, which is one of the biggest providers, it's only available in some of the European countries that we cover. For instance, Germany, I think if I recall correctly, maybe the Netherlands or some others. What about all the rest? So we cannot really rely on that type of product for subscriptions at this point in time. And traditional payment methods, on the other side, they offer all we need to handle those subscriptions.
Right.
So yes, card on file comes on top one more time, and it's just much better than any other payment methods out there. Although I have to say, when it comes to APMs and alternative payment methods, digital wallets, if we want to put them under that bucket, they are a different story. PayPal in particular due to the market penetrations in so many countries. It's actually
Germany.
Yes, for instance, Germany. Germany, everybody knows it's, PayPal is number one payment methods. Users love it. They really rely on it, and therefore you minimize churn, you optimize conversions. It's just fantastic product. The same thing with PayPal, again, it's in the US as well. I mean, we notice the performance is way better than card on files.
Okay.
And that goes with other alternative payment methods in other countries as well. I mean, if you think about Poland with Blik, that's a very strong digital
That's more of
wallet
a
there.
bank transfer, isn't it?
Correct. I mean, they leverage account-to-account payments, right?
Yeah.
They do that as well. And
An ideal is in the
the
Netherlands.
Netherlands. Yeah.
So the expectation for Ideal, I think it's next year. The European Payments Initiative has announced the Wero,
Yeah.
and Ideal will eventually fold into Wero. Is that? Do you anticipate that being a challenge for your customers?
I think so. I mean,
Really?
look, the thing is, these wallets, at the end of the day, they have their own brand, right? And they gotta build the brand equity.
And Ideal has been around for 20 years.
Exactly. That's why it's a big name in the country. Once you replace that with a new one like Wero, you have to face customer friction at some point, and you have to deal with that. And generally speaking, when I think about Wero, I think they have a big ambition, very noble and very honorable, but at the same time, it's you have to face reality, and they gotta compete with big brands like PayPal as well, and before even ensuring that you have the proper network in place, because remember, open banking doesn't work if you don't have the banks participating to it.
Yeah.
And that's been the biggest problem in Europe. You have open banking around for many years, but very few banks have been working on their open banking capabilities and developing the connections to the different providers to ensure that customers can pay through open banking.
Yeah.
So what's changing now? I don't see that much change, to be honest.
Right.
So it's a lot of talks.
Do you operate
not
in
much
Spain?
action. We do operate in Spain, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Is BISM something that you...
BISM is yes. And again, that goes with, Europe, unfortunately, you have so many diversity, and the market is so fragmented and distributed that it's difficult to generalize. So in Spain, yes, BISM is a different story. And with the strong local payment network that has been developed over the years, you have a more reliable source for open banking solutions.
Right. So we've talked about quite a few things around alternative forms of payment, the account-to-account, open banking, buy now, pay later, subscription. And I liked your point that you made earlier about merchants. I think you said using payments to their advantage to make the customer experience better. What I want to do, just to wrap up, is to think about the future. What do you think is the future for payments, for merchants, in terms, well, obviously at the Payment Leaders Summit, we're talking about payments day in, day out, and there's a lot of merchants here. What would you say to merchants when they're planning their own payment strategy?
That's a great question. Look,
it might not be easy to answer in one sentence.
Yes. Look, it's about really understanding where payments are in their strategy. And I think sometimes you just have to sit at the table, look at your company's infrastructure or architecture, and figuring out where your payments are, right? And once you understand that, then you can outline the touch points with the organization and figuring out the relevance of payments in your business. And you'll turn out probably that payments is a pretty big relevant thing, right? So you got to focus on long-term strategy, understand what your payment needs are, understand the data behind payments, gather resources and hire talent. Lots of merchants, they don't have payments experts in-house. Either they pay tremendous amount of fees to consultants, which is good in your case, right? But at the same time,
sometimes works.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, joking aside, surely, you talked about payments as being critical for a lot of merchants.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's quite emotive, for a consumer to effectively give up money for their service, but they've got to, as trust around that, is there? Surely trust is an important element.
Oh yes, trust is the driver, is the foundations of payments flows, right? And all payments networks as well. And that's also what merchants have to work on with their users, to deliver a trustworthy payments journey. Because, they all talk about user journey, but what about the payments journey within the user journey? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. And when it goes wrong,
exactly. Understand that. Understand the motives behind maybe abandonment, a checkout, or when it comes to subscriptions, failed renewals. What's driving those things, and what kind of frustrations does that create to your customer base? You have to understand all those issues, and at the end of the day, you'll just end up working on your payment strategies inevitably.
I think we could go on and on.
Absolutely.
It's obviously something that's very much part of your business, and you've made it sort of integral to your business in terms of payments. I think it's a fascinating topic. Really appreciate your time and interest in this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks.